A small band of heroes sets out on a quest regarding a powerful artifact, but bad guys that also want this artifact chase after our heroes. The heroes realize the power of the great artifact and fight over who gets to hold it. But in the end, they realize that no one should wield this destructive weapon, and they cast it out into oblivion as we review The Lord of the Rings. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review, actually, of Deep Space Nine's Season 4, The Sword of Kahless, directed by LeVar Burton, written by Hans Beimler. How are you today, Cirroc?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I didn't realize it was a LeVar Burton episode. That's good to know.
This episode was written by J.R.R. Tolkien, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I see the connections, but there was LeVar Burton did this one, huh?
Right. Mm-hmm. Make a note of that. We do love our LeVar episodes. He does a great job.
Yeah, this is like I guess I was anticipating more. I thought this would be the beginning of the romance between Dax and Worf, because I know that eventually they're going to get to that point. Because I was at the wedding, ladies and gentlemen, I was there, so I know there's a wedding of some sort. But no, they didn't really get into their personal kind of feelings or connections. That wasn't really the storyline. It was more about absolute power corrupting and these kinds of curses that we often hear about on ancient artifacts from Egyptian mummies and ancient Aztec items.
Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff, and this is definitely one, when I watched it, that I was thinking we're going to have some fun talking about this one, because it's kind of stuff we do talk about when we're talking about ancient history and artifacts, when we're just talking about our own things. Before we get into all of that, we do want to make sure that everybody gives this video a like and or rating. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. And patreon.com/the7th rule is where you can find us. Also, a very quick shout out. I was looking over our very first roundtable, Cirroc. I don't know if you remember that, but it was just about 2 years ago now. And the first two people at our roundtable were Homer Frizzell and John Tuffarella. So we want to give a big shout out to the people that have been here, been with us, supporting us from the very beginning and every day throughout. Big shout out to them.
Two legends, and as we would say in Los Angeles, OGs, the OGs of the Seventh Rule. So,
is that just an LA thing?
I don't know. I think it's caught on now, but yeah, I thought it started out here.
Could be, yeah.
But it has caught on and become some part of popular culture. The originals or original gangsters.
That's what it is.
As what we would call them. So yeah, they are the OGs of the Seventh Row Podcast, and we appreciate your love and support, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Totally. And this episode featured your favorite Klingon. I remember you gave one of the best nicknames ever. Do you remember what it was?
You gotta refresh my memory. Tell me.
It was Kor's. You gave Cora a nice nickname a few weeks ago when we reviewed the previous episode. I forgot what it was called. Called him Kor's Light.
Oh yeah.
That's
Kor's Light.
Pretty good.
Nice. I appreciate that callback right there.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I thought in this episode, he's the actor that played him. I'm sure you can pull that up, but I thought he was just fantastic. He's great at the storytelling, which is a kind of a Klingon, even Cardassian type thing, where they're just these really great storytellers.
Right.
And that's what I enjoyed. I enjoy watching. That was one of the elements of this show that I liked.
His name is John Colicos. sounds Greek probably, but he was in the original series as a Klingon. Kor, Koloth, and Kang were, and so he comes back again. They were back again together in Deep Space Nine a few episodes ago, and now they're back again, or Kor is. So it's really cool that they keep using the same guy. Although I did check out a piece of trivia, which was Kor was also in Star Trek's The Animated Series, the original series, but it was not voiced by this actor. It was one of the many, many, many characters in the animated series that was voiced by James Doohan, Scotty. So he did most of the extra voices in the animated series. So this fella did not.
Okay, well, either way, I thought his performance was really good in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Loved him as the storyteller, loved him as the guy with this, who initially brings us on with this dream of the Sword of Kahless and gives us the introduction into the meaning of, how relevant it would be to Klingon society and Klingon culture. So I like the backstory there. I think in the beginning he had like an opening monologue where he said, "Greater than the torch of Gabak," or, something about Sabak's armor, and
yeah, he's quite a storyteller, right?
Yeah, even more prestigious than the Emperor's crown, and he went on through this whole thing. And I'm a fan of these kinds of episodes that look for things. They have this quest of trying to find that one thing that's very meaningful, the Holy Grail, for example.
I knew you were going to say that, yeah.
Right. In Indiana Jones, the Ark of the Covenant, the search for these things.
The Shroud of Jesus or the Christ or whatever.
Yeah. Right, which is called the Shroud of Turin, where it is
Turin,
now.
that's what it is, yeah. Turin. Yeah, and I thought of that, and I put that in my notes too, that it did actually remind me a little bit about the Raiders of the Lost Ark when he said, when Jadzia said something like, are we sure it's the real one? And he says, of course it is. Look at it. Like he could just tell by looking at it, this is it. And that was in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course, they were wrong when they said that. They said, this must be the goblet because there are so many of them. And they picked the most beautiful and pristine one. And they're like, it's more magnificent than I ever imagined. And of course, it wasn't that. It was the simple whatever. So it did harken back and remind me of that. Obviously, this was totally different what they did with it, but it was cool. It reminded me of that cool scene.
Yeah, and then she also did like a geological survey on the item itself to trace that its ancestry, which is what we do with radiocarbon dating when we, find out how long things have been on this planet. So I thought that was cool. A little carbon dating, a little scientific detective work on the item itself, a little archaeology mixed in with science. So I thought that was a good application for Dax, not to mention the fact that she had this Klingon background in her lifespan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought she was a perfect vehicle to kind of be driving the story and also be present. So she didn't seem out of place to me, and actually it felt very natural that she was there.
Yeah, it was a good little crew. And at the beginning of the episode, I felt this way, and I feel like most people probably did, when they say, okay, the three of us are setting out on this mission, and we're kind of like, all right, cool, this is a good little crew. You've got Dax and Worf together, which already feels like it's a solid group. And then you've got the wise old Klingon, battle-hardened storyteller warrior, and it's just, when they get together, I was like, all right, I'm here for it. This is a good little crew. I want to see what they can do.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about it, and you knew it was going to be that kind of adventure. I think when they were in Quark's bar and Core, he basically gets everybody excited about the story, but when Dax says, "Let me introduce you to Core to Worf," and he's like, "I don't want to meet that guy. He's going to not like me.
He's going to be mean."
Yeah, he's going to be mean. So So she forces the introduction, and I really like the way Core kind of starts out like you treasonous scoundrel, low down, and you can see Worf getting like, all right, I might have to fight this guy.
He said a lot of things to him. Yeah, I don't think I took them all down, but yeah, he said, he called them like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I did. He says, Worf, the traitor, the pariah, the lowest of the low.
Right.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes. No, but then before he said pleasure to meet you, he said any enemy of Galron,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, oh, because you are an enemy of Galron, you're a friend of mine. So Worf's beefs in the past, prior beefs, actually served to benefit him in this particular, but then also served to count against him when it comes to the House of Duras, right?
Right. And that was a character that was introduced in the Next Generation, but I believe it was played by a different actor. What was the kid's name? He was a a nephew of the Duras sisters or something like that.
Oh yeah, Terrell.
Right, that's the one. Yes. Yeah. Not to be confused with Terrell Owens or Terrell Davis. Do you really know Terrell Owens?
Yeah, I played basketball with Terrell Owens.
No way. Yes. He was a great basketball player. He's like 6'1", right? But I remember he was really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're built like that and you have the genetics that he has, it's pretty much you can do anything. I think athletic wise, maybe difficult things with balance like ballet or ice skating or something might be difficult, but anything with his feet on the ground, baseball, football, basketball, with that physique, he can do whatever he wants.
Quick thing, one quick thing. Sorry guys, but we're sports nerds. Real quick, I'm a big 49er fan, and he was drafted by the 49ers. And in the preseason of his rookie year, it was before the season even started, but I was already a nerd that's like following everybody and learning who they are, who the new people are. And I'm walking around in the local mall in the Bay Area, and I see a dude that looks just like Terrell Owens. And I look at him, and my first thought is, and I see him, and he sees me, and I go, "Whoa, dude, you look just like Terrell Owens." And he gives me this big smile, and he kind of like nods and whatever. And I walk away, and I'm like, "Oh wait, that was him." Obviously, I mean, he's on the on the 49ers, and this is the local mall, and he just joined the team, so he was probably like, "Oh, I'm already getting noticed." But anyway, that's how dumb I am. I was like, whoa, this guy that looks exactly like him, I'm going to let him know who he looks like. Anyway.
Yeah, it was him.
So back to the episode.
Yeah, you were making a reference about House of Duras and Terrell.
Right. Sorry about that. But yeah, so he was in one previous episode in Next Generation. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was, again, I think it was like trying, the Duras sisters were always trying to usurp whoever the chancellor was or whoever was in charge. So he was part of that. And so they already had, beef, in a previous episode. So that's how they knew each other. But I think it was good that they reminded us of his name, because if the actor was different, which I believe it was, then they always say, Terrell, it must be you, and you go, oh, okay, I get it. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit there. It was the story really was brought up to show that Worf is too human, or more human than he is Klingon, which is the fact that he was able to make himself vulnerable to the emotion of forgiveness, right? Or not carrying out his duty as a Klingon by executing Terrell as some kind of vengeance for something that happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Worf. It's cool that they're already giving Worf a lot of character arc. More
Right.
so than he got in Next Generation and 7 Years of Next Generation. So it's really cool that
Right.
already, 8 episodes in, we're already knee deep into the story of
Mhm.
Worf, and that's great. It's really cool that they did that for that character, and he became this character that he was pretty one-dimensional in Next Generation, but in Deep Space Nine, they just blew him up and turned him into something amazing. Very multi-dimensional, a lot of
Mhm.
depth, and this is kind of one of those first couple episodes where we learn a lot about him. When he says he had the visions that Kahless came to him, and what he thought that meant, and his career and his life's goal. And I mean, we're learning all about who he is on the inside.
We are, and just as a side note, so around this time, obviously, he's just now being introduced in our cast in the fourth season, right? This is where we're all having to kind of add a new teammate on the team, and there's always that time of trying to build chemistry and personal relationships while you're working with an actor. And I can see that it was challenging for Michael Dorn. Not that he was challenged to do Worf, because he's already had that character down packed, and that wasn't difficult for him at
Yeah,
all.
he's an old pro.
He's an old pro. But the challenge for him more so was to like try to fit in with our cast, right? Because he'd already established himself on Next Generation. He has deep roots there. I think his heart truly still is there with the Next Generation cast. But he, he put his head down and did the work, and I want to give him his credit for that. I thought that when you watch these episodes, as we are doing, I think he really made a seamless integration into our cast, and I did it, at least on film. You can't see any problem that he had integrating with the rest of us. It seemed that it was seamless. It seemed like he was professional about it, and even though I'm sure he was dealing with his own kind of mixed
Hmm.
bag of feelings. So I want to give him credit for really just stepping into the role and blending in right away without any difficulty.
Right. And he has said in the past that it was kind of a difficult transition for various reasons. But like you say, you know, on screen, all we see is a great addition and
Hmm.
more depth and more characters and better storylines and just more, like it works. It's beautiful. It's just like the addition of the Defiant. It just added depth, and the character of Worf added depth, and yeah, to me as a fan watching it, it was very exciting. It was a great addition. So yeah, you're right. Like whatever was
Yeah,
going on behind the scenes, no, whatever, but the end result was a bonus, was a positive.
the end result was a positive. And the other thing I believe that his presence does, and in this episode makes that clear, more clear than any other one so far, is that he brings out something in Dax that
Mm.
I don't think has been truly activated. It is activated when Sisko has his old man moments with her, but I think it even has a different side and a different color to it when it's brought out through her interactions with the Klingons and
Mm.
her knowledge of that.
Mm. Yeah, it's great for Dax. It's it adds to the stories for all the characters really, but Dax more than any. Um, and it's also interesting to see, in subsequent episodes, how this affects Major Kira, because she was always like the first officer behind Sisko, and now there's kind of like this gray area of like, well, who's the second in charge here? It's kind of like Kira's second in charge on the station, and Worf is, second in
On
charge
the
on the
ship.
Defiant. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think they handled it well. I never really noticed any issues, but I don't remember if they ever actually verbalized it. You know, they actually like established it in canon what their exact roles are. We just kind of saw the result of it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with your assessment of it that, because the station has more ties to Bajor, that Kira would naturally be the person in charge. But when you get on a ship, because Worf has more experience being on a starship, he would then kind of outrank. So it kind of works out that way. I think they didn't really address it too much, but it seemed to have played out like that.
And we get to hear a tiny bit about the Hurq. That's the race that had this Batleth, which is kind of like a race that's mentioned here and there in Klingon lore, but we never really get to see them. Actually, there was a deleted scene that never made it to this episode where Worf talks more about the Hurq, and I saw it, and I forgot that it wasn't still in here. And he's talking about, the Hurq are here, and they make excellent movies. They made a movie about war, the Hurq Locker, stuff like that. And
oh God.
Yeah, no, it was great. No, it was like a pretty long. It was pretty long, And then he says, what else was he talking about? Other movies they have made. A buddy cop movie, Turner and Hurq. Okay, wait, I can do better.
Okay.
Let me think. Okay. There is also a movie. I do not remember what it is called, but they say Hercules. No.
Oh God.
They do not only do they do movies, Ben Hurq, but not only movies, they also make excellent television shows. Jake, our favorite television show that we always talk about, A Man Called Hurq.
I hope you're dead. I really
do. No, I'm definitely, but anyway, so the Hurq, they're gone forever, but they do talk about how they eventually, because they're kind of disbanded, but they will get eventually reunited by Peaches and Hurq. No, okay, all right. Anyway, so moving on. But they also do a nice line of towels that you can buy for couples and stuff. They make them his and Hurq's towels for everybody to enjoy.
That was a little better. I'll give you that one a little bit.
Captain, incoming message. They say their favorite Starfleet officer is Captain Kirk.
Oh, God.
And their favorite WWE wrestler is Hacksaw Jim. I messed that one up. All right, moving on.
Oh man, I was just waiting for you to tell us what car he drives, and I'm sure it was a Mercedes-Benz.
I was waiting. I'm like, I know Cirroc's going to jump in here. There's no way. You got Coors Light before. That's pretty solid. I knew you were going to toss something in.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, now that we're completely off topic.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We'll bring it back. Well, they did actually add some words to the lexicon and some terms that are like coronavirus related stuff. Like when you go and get a coronavirus test, now they stick something up your nose. But before, initially, they would make you Hurq a loogie into a cup. And anyway, I think we're coming to our break real soon. So maybe we should just take a break here.
Yeah, I think we should have rehearsed this one before.
You think this deserves some rehearsal? I think it's best to just move it along.
But I will say this though, because you did bring up a point that I was going to highlight. And I always like to look at the origins of words and how they use words, whatever their words are. And ones that stand out to me, the one was obviously in this case was Hurq. And I do believe that it is a abbreviated version of the word Hercules, which also has, which is a Roman word that has Greek origin. So these are Greek and Roman gods.
Oh.
So I just think that there is some kind of correlation between them using that and the Greek and Roman gods of Hercules and Heracles. So I
Let's
thought I'd
talk a
bring
little
it.
bit more about that on the other side because we do love that stuff. So we'll be right back on the seventh rule, and we'll stop making puns. Probably.